Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm excited to talk to Jake Carlile. We met a few years ago at a couple different events. Young guy, 24 years old, doing a bunch of new construction and development now, has flipped a lot of houses, a lot of things going on. Having been in this business for a long time and pretty much knowing, everybody in the industry, the single biggest thing that people say that they wish they had done differently is they wish they had started earlier. And so I was just telling Jake how impressed I am with them that they are getting after it at such a young age and they have such a bright future ahead with all the things they have going on right now, that the sky really is the limit. So if you're young or you're trying to get your kids or your grandkids even into this business, you definitely need to listen to this show and have them listen to it as well. So Jake, really excited to have you here, buddy.
Absolutely. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about, you have more going on than I know. So I told you, I've been kind of following you along a little bit on social media over the past couple of years. Ever since we met, you'd pop up. I knew you guys were flipping houses. We met, I think, at a multi-family syndication event. And I know you guys started a property management company. You're doing new construction now and a lot of other things. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about how you got started. And I'm really curious because I don't know this. You alluded to it a second ago, and I was like, I'm not going to ask you ahead of the show. I want to learn on the show about what inspired you to get into real estate while you were still in college, because something happened to trigger that. Usually, most people that I know get into real estate after they get out into the kind of quote real world and realize that there's more out there for them than what they're doing right now. You're at such a young age that you didn't have that experience yet of going into a shitty job that you hate or anything like that. So I'd love to kind of hear what influenced you to jump into real estate.
Yeah. Well, so I can back it up really to my childhood. I think it may have always been in my blood. I just didn't really know it. My mom was actually a realtor when I was born or before really. And long story short, she ended up, and this is crazy, but she ended up getting struck by lightning and kind of losing half of her ability to do any math or anything like that. So she basically like semi-retired. But I grew up from when I was born to 3, 4, 5 years old under a realtor's desk. I just didn't really know it. I don't have no recollection of it. So it's kind of been in my blood. However, let's fast forward to high school. I competed as a CrossFit competitor at the CrossFit Games twice, and so it took a lot of training, took a lot of drive, took a lot of focus, which is kind of similar to where we are now. Graduated high school from Brenham, and kind of didn't really have a plan. Was just going to Blinn, going to go to A&M, get my degree. Didn't really have a specific type of degree I wanted. I ended up getting an agricultural economics degree. I like economics. It's just kind of interesting to me. Helps me a little bit now, but really what happened was when I was detailing cars and I was detailing planes, kind of from high school to early college, and I would just go see these nice cars and I would see these nice planes and I would see these nice ranches and I would like all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this is fine money right now, but I want to be the guy calling myself to clean my plane and my car and go to my ranch, And I've had some really good role models in my life. My uncle, he's a partner at a public company, so I've gotten a lot of examples to follow that are really awesome. But really, the click was in COVID. I was kind of starting to run down my detail business. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was working at a private FBO here in College Station called Aston Aviation, kind of just doing grunt work, filling up planes and being a carrier boy, basically. And COVID hit, everything shuts down, they lay everybody off, and now I am stuck doing nothing. And so it was kind of the fresh start that I didn't really want, but I got and needed. And then I had all the time to think and read books and listen to podcasts and do this, that, and the other. And I just ended up like, hey, there's, what do I want my life to look like when I'm 40? At this point, I was 20 years old, and I was like, hey, what can get me there? And real estate was one of the obvious answers. I love stocks. I love playing with stocks too. But real estate was kind of the active. I can go do stuff. Stocks is you got to have some money, and I had a little bit, but that was just kind of fun to me. So long story short, I meet my partner at the gym in Brenham during COVID. Just randomly, no, I don't know who this guy is. We met. He has some construction background. We met literally at the gym. We're like, hey, I want to buy a house. Oh, you want to buy a house? Let's go buy a house. And literally kind of stupid, zero forethought, probably not the smartest thing to do. We ended up going and buying I say that back. We actually ended up wholesaling a house in Brenham. We didn't really know it was wholesaling at the time. We kind of just got under contract. We thought we were going to buy it. We figured out we weren't going to buy it. We didn't have any cash, so we went and found a buyer. Hey, can you take this off our hands? And it's like, oh, well, we can make, so we made $10,000 there, and kind of took that and put down on a condo in Bryan, which is probably the worst condo in Bryan, Texas, I think. So we remodeled that by ourselves, rented it out, thought we were rich. A year later, ended up selling that, got our money back, and ended up just starting to flip houses from there. I was going to college the whole time, and we've since flipped 50 to 60 houses and built 6 to 7 new construction projects so far, and we've got, I don't know, 25 in the pipeline right now. So, and now I'm in grad school for property development. So it's kind of been a whirlwind, but
yeah, you're doing all this while you're in college or now grad school, and you guys have started a property management company as well, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Now the cool thing is you're doing some new development, but a lot of it you brought on investors to fund it, I gather, and you're keeping these, right? So you're mostly building for yourself at this point.
So
Or some of it,
it
at least.
depends. So it kind of just depends on what it looks like on the front end.
Yeah,
So with the duplexes or the spec homes or the small multifamily, obviously the small multifamily looks way better to hold. It's just the scale's there.
yeah,
The duplexes look just fine, right? We build them with a really 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 good margin and a really good price to where we can hold them, but we're kind of wanting to get that cash going to where we can offload these to investors who maybe they want a turnkey rental. Um, they want something that's pretty new that doesn't need a lot of capex. So that's kind of what we're targeting now. So we've got 3 duplexes for sale. And so it just kind of depends. But if
yeah. Well, you
we
need
can't,
I talk about this all the time. You got to have active income. You got to have like today money. You need money today to pay the bills, right? And then
for
you
sure,
got to
for
tuck
sure.
some away too. So I said up front in our intro, the single biggest regret people have is that they wish they'd started earlier. The second biggest regret is that they wish they had kept more of their properties as rentals. So
Yeah, no,
for what
100%.
it's worth, because I can tell you at one point I thought rentals were a nightmare and I hated them, and I still don't like them, but I've generated a lot of wealth from the ones I
Right.
did keep, and I just I kept like less than 10% of the houses that I flipped, and in hindsight, it's like, man, I wish I'd kept another 100.
Right. No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about. So you kind of started with flipping houses. So I'm curious, while you were but let's just say before you started grad school, but while you were in undergrad, how many houses did you guys flip while you were in undergrad?
Let's see. So I graduated from
Roughly.
undergrad in December of 2023, and we started in February of 2021. So you're talking almost 3 years. Almost 3 years.
Yeah,
Um, we probably flipped 40 houses in that time.
yeah, that's awesome.
Maybe a little more. At this point, it's been so many, I just trying to kind of forget. But um, yeah, it was a lot. It was a
That's
lot.
impressive. Yeah, most college kids are not thinking about flipping houses. They're thinking about tossing beers back. So
Right.
that's impressive.
Hey,
Yeah.
and to be fair, my first semester at college, that's what I did, and I had some fun, and then COVID hit, and everything kind of just changed, and so
Yeah.
I'm lucky it did.
That's great that you had, I mean, something that came out of it that was positive. Like, I think that was a time for people to either get lazy and depressed or I guess get inspired to say, like, this
100%.
is bullshit
Absolutely.
and this is, there's more out there than this. And so glad you were on the right side of that. So, and I think probably most weren't, honestly. So that was a
Right.
weird time for
100%.
just our country, right? So, so when did you kind of start transitioning into your flipping houses, and then how did the development stuff start coming on? You started doing infill lots. Like, was that just you came across some land and you're like, hey, we could just do this, or was it a strategic move to say, um, if we're flipping them, we might as well like building them would be easier. Let's go
Yeah.
find land, or
So it was a little bit of both. So we, as we started flipping, sometimes you come across extra lots, or you find some lots that you're like, oh, these are really good. Let's build on them. So we ended up with a couple lots that we had bought with a flip house and kind of just cut off and had. We had also had some land that we thought was a really good spot, and hey, this would be an amazing development one day. Let's go buy it. We had that land, and then to even back that up, I had met a guy who is one of my best friends now, but our investor, and we could kind of kindle that relationship over the last 3 or 4 years, and we finally got to the point where it's like, hey, let's go do this, and so we kind of just kicked it into high gear last June, July, and have been kind of rolling hard ever since. And so it was kind of a normal evolution, which I think a lot of guys do, but it was also a significant choice. It's like, hey, we're not necessarily gonna stop flipping. We will still do that if a really great opportunity comes. But to be honest with you, man, new construction is so much easier. It's like putting a puzzle together. The margin is pretty predictable, and the banks like it a lot better. So
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So one thing that you mentioned up front is that you guys are actively working with cities to try to build a relationship with them, maybe changing the zoning or things like that. And so I know most real estate investors are going the other way. They're fighting with the city, trying to
right.
force something through. And so it sounds like you're being a little more strategic about it. Share some examples of that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people kind of approach it maybe not wrong. I think it's just a little misguided, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the natural tendency to, hey, we want to go do this. You're telling me I can't. Okay, go watch. Watch me go do it. That's kind of the natural
Right.
human, and I do it too.
Especially
I get it,
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
right? But you kind of have to understand that whether these people that are frankly in positions of power, that maybe they're not getting paid a ton, but they are in the position of power. They can make or break you, literally.
Yeah.
Um, and you just need to get along with them, and it is what it is. And there's a lot of great people at cities. A lot of people do want to see things happen, and a lot of them are really passionate about it. But you also have to drive them to the conclusion that you want. So, for example, we've done a lot of infill development in zoned areas that are just by right. We can go build a duplex or a fourplex or what have you. On the other hand, we've also found pieces of property that are not zoned correctly, but they're zoned, or maybe they're located, close to a piece that we like that's zoned right, or kind of a transition area that kind of just makes sense. And so we took this one piece of land in Brenham that's 6 acres, and it's kind of right in the middle between an industrial area and a single family area, and there's not really a transition in between. And one thing that Brenham really struggles with, and that's a lot of these smaller communities, is small multifamily townhomes and affordable, literally just affordable rentals. That none of them have any. I don't know if you've looked at any rental pricing in small areas, but it's crazy. There's just no supply, and none of it's new. And so we took this 6 acres and we presented it to the city council for a rezone from R1 to R2, and all that literally means is it goes from single family only to single family and small multifamily. That's all it means. And So, we were navigating, neighbors calling us and people protesting and this, that, and the other. But we kind of presented to them, hey, we're local guys, we're young guys, our parents live here, we have vested interest in this area. We wouldn't come in and try to blow this up just for nothing, right? We're not trying to force this in here. We kind of gave them our vision. We met with the city developer, we met with the city planner prior to see what kind of, you know, pushback we're going to get, if any. And they were like, "Hey, like this is the pushback we're going to get, so you need to figure out how to, attack that." And so we went through the preliminary process through P&Z. We got through that, went to city council, and they were all for it. But I think it really just depends on how you approach it and how you kind of sell it to them. Um, you know, don't try to fight a losing battle because you're going to lose. You're just going to lose. If you go try to spot zone a piece of property that's R2 or that's R1 and R2 in the middle of a single family property, you got to make their lives easy. Those neighbors are going to give you hell, and also they're going to vote out the city council the next chance they get because they ruin your
Right.
neighborhood. So I mean,
Yeah.
like whether it's right or wrong, you have to make their lives easy, and you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
I know it's political, but at the end of the day, you got to think of it in a bigger term, a much higher view, instead of getting all wrapped up in the political ball and egos fighting and all that. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
lay to the
It's
side.
salesmanship ultimately. You're trying to figure out how to accomplish what they want and accomplish what
Absolutely,
you want at the same time, right? A win-win situation.
absolutely.
Yeah. I had so I had a house. This is a long time ago now. Um, this is in Farmers Branch. This is like a north suburb of Dallas, and it was a little frame house. It was a burnout, and it was a hoarder house. It was a terrible thing, and they just wanted to get. They wanted to just scrape the lot, and I had rebuilt several like this was like a total loss burnout. Like it was not much salvageable other than the slab,
Yeah,
and so I had to persuade them on how this was going to be an awesome house and increase the values in the neighborhood. And by the way, they were owed several years of back taxes. I'm like, the moment I close, like you're going to get paid, all the back taxes and everything. And the truth is I did not go at it from your angle. I went at it from the like you're fucking stupid. Like, why wouldn't you do this angle?
yeah, yeah,
And I'll just say, like, I pushed it through, um, but it was a fight. Like, there were people that were just like, we don't care. We want it bulldozed.
right.
And I was like, this doesn't make sense. But I know it was because I was trying to attract them with, as they say, vinegar and not honey.
Right. Absolutely. And it works. It works sometimes and you'll get stuff through. But man, whenever you end up learning that your life's a lot easier when you can work with these people,
Yeah,
because they don't really
for
want to
sure.
fight with you either. They're just doing their job, whether you agree with it or you don't.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And unless you just want to kind of go run for a P&Z and make a huge drastic change, then we're gonna have to work with them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I've found that to be true in Bryan, Called Station, Caldwell, Brenham. It's been pretty true across the board. They think inside of a box, so you got to kind of drive them to that end goal.
Yeah. And I guess once you get to know people, like it potentially opens up more opportunities, right? You're like, hey, you see what I'm trying to do here? We want to help the city that we care about too, this city. Like,
Absolutely.
how else can we work together? How else can we help you, get more of what you want here, which is probably affordable housing generally, right?
Well, and to tee off on that, like I've met with economic directors of areas, whether it be Brenham, Bryan, Called Station, Caldwell. I've met with developers, city developers, um, or heads of development, I should say, and they've called me before. Hey, I've got this lot on 123 Bridge Street. Take a look at it. It's about to be condemned. Like this needs to be developed, and it either works or it doesn't. But getting those type of calls really reinforces the reputation that we have or our building. And then the other thing is, hey, go to the city and ask them what they need. Hey, what do you need? They'll gladly tell you. They have a master plan. They have a future land use plan. They'll tell you what they need, and they'll tell you what they can do to give it to you. I mean, just yesterday we met with a economic advisor from Bryan, and he's like, "Hey, we need a lot more." And this is kind of a little different this is some commercial space, some 30,000 square foot commercial space, because we have no more land that fits that, and we have manufacturing companies banging down our doors to get these big spaces, but nobody's building it. We have some land we'll sell to you, the city does. You can go build it. And here's the people that are going to move in when that happens. So stuff like that, like work with them. They're out there and just, you know, and in turn, once those jobs come, where those people live. It's a never ending cycle. I say never ending. It can certainly end, but it's a cycle that can perpetuate itself. Commercial comes in, jobs are created, they need somewhere to live. So,
Yeah. You've got a lot of wisdom for a young guy. And I know as you're still in grad school now and you're getting a master's in essentially like development, right? Land development. And
yes, sir.
so talk about the education piece because I have more education than the average person that's in the real estate industry as well. Have an MBA from a top program, went to a couple Ivy League schools. But when I was in corporate America, they were just sending me wherever my boss was grooming me for something bigger, in corporate America. And it's not necessary. I say this, like, it's rare in this industry. But when you and I were talking up front, you had specifically called out like the importance of formal education in your business. And some of the things you just shared with us, I don't think if you weren't getting this degree, my guess is it's influenced, I can tell it's influenced you towards success. So just talk about the fact that you would flip 30 houses before you graduated from college. Most people would be like, adios, maybe not even graduate. Like, I see a light here. I'm just going
Right.
to go flip houses, right? But you've kind of doubled down on formal education and stuck with it. So maybe share your thoughts on the importance of formal education as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, and I would start with, you said that it's like adios, I'm out of here. There's 100% been days where it's like, man, what am I even doing? I've got my phone ringing
Right.
off the hook. I've got these city meetings. I've got this, that, and the other. What am I doing here? I mean, yesterday I took a midterm in the middle of the day, and my phone rang 4 times while I was in that midterm, and it's like, what am I doing? But
Yeah.
if you kind of step back, I know it's not necessary, kind of like you said, and it really isn't. It's not necessary. You don't have to do any of it. But what it has done, it has helped me kind of take a broader view of whether it be the real estate market or working with cities or kind of even reducing risk on stuff we're doing moving forward. I have a little bit more of a formal education what I'm wanting to do. I'm applying what I'm learning every day, and it's certainly not necessary. But the people I've met in the school, it's MLPD, but it's in the School of Architecture. So there's a lot of urban planners, a lot of architects, there's a lot of developers, lawyers that work in that area. So I've met a lot of people that are influential at this point in my life. Um, and again, it kind of goes back to it's something hard that's not necessary that you do, and if you complete it, you'll feel a lot better about yourself. You completed something, and you've just kind of built that confidence up. I can go do hard things even when I don't have to do that. I force myself to do that hard thing, whether it be building the house or going to grad school or doing both. Like you can do both, and I think there's a lot of people kind of get that misconstrued. Um, like, oh, I got to finish school. That's great. I did the same thing, and I also worked full time, and so
Yeah.
you can do both. It just comes down to your priorities.
Yeah, yeah, I'll tell you it's impressive. So, talk a little bit about your team. Like you've got a lot of things going on. I know you're not doing it all yourself, and even people that are, just to be honest, a fair bit older than you really struggle with building out a good team. So, how are you doing all this, and what are your kind of thoughts on building out teams to help you?
Yeah. So it's taken me a little longer, and I say it's taken me a little longer to learn this, but I'm only 24. It's taken me 3 or 4 years to learn this. But it really is, it comes down to who you can surround yourself with and what kind of people they are. Um, you want to surround yourself with people that either are smarter than you or have some type of other skill set than you have to where, they'll push that ante where you may not even be thinking of that. You may not want to do that. You may not, enjoy doing it, but they might, right? It's may not be worth my time, but it's worth somebody's time. Is a good mantra that one of my buddies tells me. But back to my team. So I mentioned my partner at the beginning. He had a construction background. He runs most of the construction side of things. I'm kind of on the back end, whether it be brokerage, management, leasing, permits, site development, budgets, financials, anything like that I handle. Um, and he handles mainly the construction side. We've got an office guy in house that is on salary, and so he kind of handles. He pushes a lot. He pushes a lot of paper, but at the end of the day, he takes off a ton of unneeded stress off of me and my partner, and he handles a lot of things every day. Project orders, material orders, logistics, stupid paper stuff that we just, especially with how busy we are, we'll just forget. It'll fall through the cracks. So he's there to kind of clean that up. Um, and then also it goes back to kind of agents. It goes back to title companies. It goes back to lenders. Who you choose to work with really matters because it can make or break a deal, literally. So, we don't partner with these guys, but we've got a local title company, Blue Bonnet Abstract, that is the best. I mean, and everybody has their best title companies, but these guys, I can call any of the owners right now and they'll answer. I can call, they've got a couple lawyers on staff, I can call them, they'll answer. If I've got a big issue, it's fixed ASAP. And it's just been amazing. And we're still kind of working our way through the banks. We've got our kind of favorites and this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, they're banks. You got to know what they want. It's kind of like the cities. They have certain criteria. They know what they want and need, and you just got to give it to them. And there's always a give and take. You're the bank's client. They need a loan, so there's a give and take there. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. It's like, oh, I hope I can get this loan. It's like, well, they need to loan this money. Like, as long as you're strong enough borrower and you don't, go off on your word, they will 100% almost all the time loan you the money. Then agents. I mean, I don't think you should be afraid to pay agents either. They can sometimes be the gatekeeper to the people you need. So I think that's a big deal. And I'm an agent. I got my license. I'll be a broker in November, but agents do get a bad rap, but I think, and for fair reason, but there's some really good ones, and if you can get with them and get into it, the results can be really, really good.
Yeah, that's great. Jake, really excited to see where you take your business from here because I know you got a lot of life left to live, and so I'll be keeping an eye on you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
Hey, if folks want to connect with you or follow along with what you're doing, learn more, any of that stuff, where can they go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram. I don't want to tell you wrong. I don't even remember my Instagram handle. Um, my Instagram, Jake Carlile 2. We're on Facebook, RTA Property Group. I'm on LinkedIn. Nothing crazy. But look at my Facebook, look at my Instagram, and just give me a shout.
Cool, man. Hey, congrats again on early success, and I think you've got a bright future ahead. So really excited to see where you take it from here.
Hope it's so. I appreciate it.
Yeah, just keep working hard. Honestly, don't get complacent.
That's
That's
right.
the bottom line.
That's right.
So cool. Well, everybody, hope you got some good insights from today. If you're, I think if you're listening to this and you're older than Jake, you probably are realizing you wish you'd started when you were younger. But this would be a great message to share with anybody you think could get value from being focused and young and getting in the real estate space. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to make money in this industry and all the surrounding industries for sure. And it only gets bigger. That opportunity gets bigger if you start younger. So appreciate everybody for joining us today. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.